When you start to this assignment of ink in a matchstick, I cut the matchstick as a tapered edge, as you can see on the screen, with a utility knife. And don't get it too thin at the very end. Get it, so it's got some strength to it. Now, in beginning my particular drawing, I'm going to draw in the bigger shapes that I have that you see in the picture, and I'm going to make it touch the top part, and also I'm going to have sort of a continuous line that's tied into this entire thing. As you can see, the telephone pole, and then I'll come back down. It's like a fast contour drawing type of thing. It doesn't have to be exactly that, but then I'm going to put in the buildings, and basically when you do it this way, I think you're kind of forced into stylizing and connecting different shapes, and so it's good to do it instead of the sketchy way, although the sketchy way would work too. And there's some objects underneath the shed there, and then I'll put that in, and then I'll just continue. And as I continue, I'll continue that down, that light post there. Now that should have been done right away, so that that line didn't go through it. Okay, now I got to divide the shapes with inside of this big shape of this tree, and so I'm going to do it this way. There's one shape that I can put in, and there's some other shapes that will go in here. In the lesson, you will be able to see Milford Zornes' sketch and how he stylizes the trees and also the big shapes that are in this composition. You can't see the tree trunk particularly in this picture, but I'm going to put him in as a source of dividing the shapes up. So you actually you're using the picture only as a big form, and then you start to divide this up into different interesting lights and darks shape. And so as I continue doing, this is the very end, but you can see there's a road in front, a highway in front, as you can see in the photograph. And doing a little bit of calligraphy, not a calligraphy, but drawing with the one line type of drawing, not picking your pencil up, but connecting from one shape to the other. See, now there's a shadow that I'm going to put across the road that'll connect it to the right side of the composition. And there's a part that goes on top that shows the top part of the field. And all of these things can be changed as you're putting in ink. And we're going to bring that down just a little bit more. Here's where I'm going to divide and put a tree trunk in there, just to give it a little bit of a difference that I can use. And according to the sketch, I'll bring that down just a little bit more, and I think I just about got it. As I look at my photograph, and then I look at the sketch that I have, and I'm going to put just another line in there. Now, basically, when you start to paint this, it's almost like painting a numbered painting. You look for your big shapes, you look for your thin lines, and then you look for your light shapes. You see, so I'm going to divide that. Let's see. I think as I look at it, I think I've got it. Sorry about the delay here, but now I'm going to use my ink and my matchstick. Now, when you do that, you can test it on the side because if you take the flat side of it, you can make some real dark marks, wide dark marks, as wide as the matchstick is. And also you can draw thin lines with it too, by the corners of it. And so I use the paper, the edges of the paper, to test the value of my blackness of it. So it runs out very quickly, but it gives you this nice rough look, and also it's got some character to it. And so as I still try to get the shape done here of distant trees, and I'm going to draw a little light line around it, as you can see, a little bit up there. I'm just going to fill that in. Now this is India ink, and what we're going to do is that I don't wish for you to do this at home. I'm showing you so you can see what's going to happen in class. Now here's where I'm getting some, we call that the charcoal effect, is that you take the matchstick, put ink on it, and then take the ink off, and then scrape it up and down, and you'll get another value that will appear on the paper. Sorry about it being cut off so much. I didn't realize I was doing that. And then I'll just continue. Now you can see how I've done the bigger tree next to it. That's in it's in the photograph, and also now I'm starting to do I call it the negative space behind. That's all going to be the black is black. And I put that in first, and then I'll put my charcoal value next. You see, there's that light post that's going up all the way up to the top, that touches the top. And it's done very, very slowly, and it's deliberately looking at the shapes itself and try to just fill it in and keep dipping with your matchstick in the ink. Now the matchstick can wear out, and if it does, just get another matchstick and recut it so your edges will be nice and sharp when you draw a thin line. In this particular case, I did not have to do that, but I can imagine the rough paper wearing down that matchstick. You see, so here's where I'm going to go real careful against that roof right there, and then coming down. Actually, you just draw with the matchstick so you've got a nice sharp edge around the top of an object like I'm doing right there. I wish for you to come in with a photo. It can be all trees and road, or it can be trees, buildings, and roads. Remember the last one was rocks and water. This one's going to be trees and field and barn. And then what we're going to do in class is that we're going to work on our design. And if this takes the entire time for us, this is very important for us to do this as accurately or towards that same example that Milford Zornes that I provided for you in the lesson. And if it takes that much time, well then I guess it does, because I think it's that important for us to do this, and then we can paint the picture at home, and that's when you do it with color. And all this darkness could be a darker green or a darker brown, a brownish green, you know, any color, as long as it's not as dark though as don't make this as dark as the black ink, because you want to put other lines inside it. But dark in anyway, see, so I'm going to just draw that up there. And you can see now the lights and darks that I've got going through that particular land. And I'm thinking now, where can I put this other dark? I think I'll put some right down there. And I'll draw a nice line. We have another building that's going to be right there, so I'm going to show that roof off. You see, so I drew the windows and I drew the underneath of the eave, and so sometimes I'm wondering if this is a 5x7, and I'm doing it particularly because I'm going to put this in the show at the art center. But I think maybe we could do them bigger. So your option is, if you want to do yours bigger, you surely can. Now this thin line, along with the black shapes, are very important in Milford's style. You see, so he's putting just a thin line around the outer edges of that, and it does really kind of nice, but not all over. If you do it all over, well, then it becomes too monotonous. Now I've got this telephone pole that's going to be dark, and then it's going to go to the charcoal effect, the gray effect as it comes down. And you notice how that has tied in the top part of the composition. The sky will be plain, and if you put clouds in the sky, then you've got shapes all over the place. And so you want to look and say, okay, I got shapes there, so I can't have shapes in the sky. And this now is going to be that cloudy effect. This is the other side of that tree. It's catching some of the sun, but not entirely the whole thing. And you see, I test my matchstick on the edge of the paper where it's not in the picture. And so you can see how you can kind of shade it. And if you do it more than once, it gets darker and darker, as obviously so. So I'm squinting at it. I'm looking at my picture of Milford Zornes, and looking to see if exactly. When I looked at his picture really seriously, I looked and thought he did all the negative spaces between the trees all black, and then he put design inside of the space, but it's in a lighter value and sometimes in a darker value. Now, it's not a sketchy looking thing. It shouldn't be sketchy. It should be very obvious and direct with the dark shapes, the dark lines, and then the middle value shading. Okay, put that in there. These are the shadows that are coming across this bank. Kind of stealing it from Milford to show how he did his bank. I thought that was kind of nice, not just a straight line, but breaking it up. That works well. And then I'm going to draw a shadow all the way across the bottom of that, but not real black, as you can see. Just a little bit of darkness. Now I have to fill in the sky because I want the lights inside of the foliage to be lighter. And so what I'm doing is just drawing straight down with the matchstick, not sideways and whatever, but just a straight vertical sketching. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. This is the sketch that ready to make into a painting, and we'll see if we've got time to do that in class.